Welcome back, everybody. This is a Red Friday. The Chiefs play tonight, and we're going to get into matchups, things to take away. There's a lot of overlap about where this team is, who's on each roster, including some draft picks you heard us talk about quite a bit this offseason. We're going to get into the depths of it. Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Well, how you feeling on a Friday? Well, you're muted, and so that changes a couple of things, but I'm sure you feel fine. You look fine. Just don't sound normal, but that's okay. I actually just got back in town. Another late night with a lot of delays at the airport. It's been a trip, but for everybody that I saw out at training camp, very, very thankful to meet all you guys, as well as all the media folks, Aaron Morrow, as well as you. There you get another one, Aaron. I just wanted to redo that because not everybody saw it. So I had a great time. And it's one of those situations that when something like this happens, I'm just going to do the intro and see if Chris makes it back. And it comes down to those relationships that you build. There's a lot of relationships that are coming up in this particular game between the Chiefs and the Cardinals. A lot of overlap there. There's nothing that can really be done other than lay it down for what it is. And what it is that Patrick Mahomes obviously has a clear connection to the head coach of the Cardinals. We're going to have to get into that, although they won't be competing against each other as a defensive coordinator. But how do you feel?
I think it's going to be a good game. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of Cardinals that are going to be playing, so that's going to be something that they're going to have to adjust to. But, that is what it is, and I'm excited to see this team go and see who actually gets to play this game.
Yeah, I agree. We'll run that down in the next segment. I think the most intriguing thing for me is Cliff Kingsbury got Patrick Mahomes to the point that he was in position to be drafted as high as he was and to become the player that he has become with Andy Reid. So it's kind of like your dad and your stepdad, right? Like in terms of like your sports career, it's really intriguing. I'm glad that this is a preseason game, but I think there's a lot of overlap. And if I had 5 minutes alone with Cliff Kingsbury, I would very much like to see what he feels about the progression, because I feel like he's trying to do something a little bit different with Kyler Murray.
Way different talents, so I can understand why he'd be doing things differently. I do think that Patrick Mahomes owes a lot to Cliff Kingsbury. I think Cliff really helped him get into the league and really helped clean some things up that got him to be able to be drafted by Reid. So I do think that he owes him a lot, and I am curious what Cliff would say if they were going to be talking and getting into that. If this is a regular game, we get those kind of questions. You're not really going to get that much in the preseason, though.
No, it's going to be pretty vanilla all the way around. And hey, that's okay. Yeah. That's what happens. We expect it. But I think that's going to be interesting. Like a lot of camaraderie, I'm sure, is going to go back and forth with these two guys. Now, who they're not going to have is Cliff will not have at his disposal to help Kyler Murray, who is supposed to play, as we understand it now. He will not have DeAndre Hopkins. I wouldn't probably be doing that either. Quite frankly, this is the game I would give Patrick a series. I wouldn't have even played him last game. And I don't know if there's any kind of heat issue. I think I would probably hold Tyreek Hill out from the Chiefs side of it. Not going to see Chandler Jones either, the pass rusher. J.J. Watt is still on the PUP list, so there's no way to see him either. But that's quite a not a triumvirate, but a quadrumvirate, I guess is how would you call that, of players that won't play.
It's quite the quad that will not play. I agree with you on that. I do think that it's going to be very intriguing to see how these different teams play in the preseason over the next couple of seasons. Obviously, we think Patrick's going to play. I would expect he's going to get more than one series, but maybe not. Who knows? Andy Reid only gave him one series last time when he said the starters were going to be in for a quarter. So it's really hard to know what they're going to do. I do think that this is going to be something to watch over the next couple of years, like I said, because it's going to adjust as teams deal with injuries over the next several years or lack of injuries. Maybe it doesn't snake bite some teams. But, you have teams like the Chargers who are holding out, it seems like a third of their guys that are going to be playing in the regular season. They're not even going to play the preseason at all.
That's one way to
in
go.
a whole new system. I mean, that's what is surprising to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of flavors that go into a brand new system, and there's a lot of flavors that you can get from our friends.
Oh, look at Ryan. He's got his props again.
I feel better with the props, I got to tell you.
Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. If you have not tried them yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You need to go give them a try. You need to go to built.com and try them out. They are absolutely fantastic. They have 9 regular delicious flavors. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their faves. If you don't know the Built Bar flavors, well, you're missing out. Coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and salted caramel. Of those, I think I really enjoyed the salted caramel. I really enjoyed that one. So there's something for everyone. My favorite flavor is the salted caramel for right now. I still like the coconut almond chunk, or the coconut brownie chunk, but they don't have that right now. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Most of the flavors have 17 to 18 grams of proteins, only 130 to 180 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Go order today and get that raspberry or mint brownie or whatever you want to try. Try the mixed box. You'll like them all. Go to build.com and use promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at build.com.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that again. I'm running low on supplies for props.
Well, you're not supposed to eat the props, but I kind of get why you do.
You know, right? It is what happens. You know, keeping me from getting hungry is almost as challenging as keeping an offensive line fed and happy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs' offensive line, I think, unlike what we talked about with Patrick Mahomes, I do think we're going to see that trio of rookies go a little bit deeper than they did last week into this game, get a little bit more under their belt, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think that they're going to have all 5 of them play because I think that they want to get the chemistry there between those guys, and that's the only way you're going to do it is to have all 5 play. I mean, I understand why you would do just the 3 because they're all rookies for the most part, but if you want them to have any kind of chemistry at all whatsoever, you play them all for as long as you're going to play them, and you know, you take your chance.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a risk, but you know, they risk everything when they're going to practice anyway, so there's not really much you can do other than try to mitigate it the most you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're going to be able to see and test their wares, especially Lucas Niang against Hassan Reddick. From what I saw this morning, I think he was going to be available. I'm not certain of that. But if that is the case, I think that's a pass rusher that you can feel your team's prepared for the regular season against.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a good test for him. No, I do think it'll be a good test. I do think that, you know, you're looking at a situation where without Chandler Jones, it's going to hurt a little bit because you're not going to get the test that you would really get normally, which is what you would really want. But, you know, you'll take what you can get, and Reddick's a good enough test. I'm really curious who's going to be available for the Chiefs because they had some injuries pop up right as camp was ending.
Yeah, I'm too concerned about. Are you?
I'm not concerned about Frank Clark, but I can't imagine he's playing in this game. This will probably be Willie Gay's first action, I would imagine. So at that point, you would expect that he's going to start and maybe play a little bit more than normal than you would expect him to, just because he's got to shake the rust off and he's got to get in playing shape and he's got to get in to the process of actually playing in the league. He didn't get any preseason games last year, so this is going to be all new experience for him.
True. Yeah. I mean, that it's invaluable at that point. They have some. I don't think, like you said, Frank. The best thing for Frank is to rest that leg, and I think honestly, the best thing for them to figure out their depth on the defensive side is for Frank to rest that leg. They got to get, I think, a deeper look at Kendo. Got to see if they can bump Tim Ward up and play against the Cardinals twos and see how he does. Let's up that level of competition. I think that will be telling.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely something they need to do because you saw what you saw from Tim Ward last week, and I think that he put a lot of good tape out, but you have to worry about the competition level, especially with him. And then you start looking at other guys. Okay, well, it sounds like Derek Nottie might be out again. He's still dealing with the hip flexor. So, you know, are your defensive tackles going to, you know, continue to shine? We know Nottie's going to be a starter. Reed's going to be a starter, but is Wharton going to play as well as he did? Is Saunders going to play as well as he did? I expect both of them to do well. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm I want to see a tick up for both Wharton and Saunders. Got a lot of questions. I feel that Colin Saunders has to make this roster. I don't see a way right now that you can go lighter at the position than keeping him and Wharton inside. But you got to hope that it's not just by attrition that he's there. He's got to earn that and continue to take his steps forward. And I think that is something that I'm expecting. Let's see if he can follow through on it.
The question I'm going to have is, okay, if he makes the roster, great. And that's obviously the first step. But past that, is he going to be active on game day? Because that's where he struggled last year. He was on the active roster, but he wasn't active. And now he's got another veteran in front of him in Reed. As long as there's not injuries in front of him, are they going to be able to have all four of them active? The difference is Chris Jones is mostly going to be played in defensive end, so that gives you a little bit more of a leverage thing. But at the same time, it's like, well, Jones can play defensive tackle and defensive end, so do you keep 40 tackles active?
Probably is my guess. I mean,
yeah, that'd be mine too.
Of any position on this roster, platooning becomes important and I think most helpful at those defensive tackle spots.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's just going to be something we're going to have to watch, and I'm very curious how it's going to play out in this game and, in the regular season. I do think both of those guys are going to be on the roster, and they don't really have anybody behind them. So, I believe it's Tyler Clark is the only other DT on the roster right now, so not really much there. What are you going to do with the other positions? The other question that really is going to become is who's going to make or break their chance of making the roster this week, because I would just about guarantee there's going to be at least one or two guys that could force themselves off the roster this week, and maybe one or two guys that could make it harder to cut.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the guy that sticks out to me the most is Zane Anderson, who all of a sudden last week got reps with the ones out of the blue. And there's a couple of ways that this could be describing the situation. Maybe you're trying to give somebody a rest. Maybe you're trying to motivate somebody a little bit farther by giving them second and third team reps rather than firsts. Maybe he just made enough plays that he stood out, and maybe this will seal what he's able to do. I don't think he could be a starter as a rookie. I highly doubt that, but it could show enough against ones that maybe he can solidify himself as a backup safety that we maybe didn't see coming.
That'd be a pretty large jump. That would have to put him over Devin Key, that put him over Juan Thornhill, potentially, that put him over, Armani Watts. And I'm not saying he can't do it. The one thing I will say is when you look at what he played against, the level of competition is the question there, just like with Tim Ward.
Yep.
So I understand that they played him with the first. I saw people saying that maybe they wanted to bring two people up, and Boodle and Zane Anderson were the guys that they brought up to see how they look in first string reps. I don't know what they're doing. They could have just been having fun at camp and giving guys a run. I mean, honestly, the other thing, and there you go again, sorry. The other thing they could have been doing is they could have just been trying to figure out, is it somebody that they can keep on the practice squad and think that there's something there to develop?
Yeah, that's for certain. And develop, it's going to be a process no matter what you do.
Yep.
So you might as well get in there and take an educated guess at what you think is going to happen. And that's what you can do at betonline.ig as well, because nobody knows. Lines are built there for you to make an educated guess, and football is back. It's coming. All the teams are going to be on the gridiron here, really starting the season right now. And as always, you can go over to betonline.ag, the number one spot for pro and college football action this season, and get yours into the action. Get all the odds, props, and contests, including a $500,000 NFL mega contest and a $200,000 NFL survivor contest that are open now on BetOnline. Head to the website and use your mobile device. You can use our promo code. Make sure you take advantage of it. The opening day super promo. Make a bet on Thursday, September 9th, as the season opens, and between the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers and Dallas Cowboys. And if you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25 just to get you started. BetOnline is the fastest, easiest way to bet all your favorite sports, and particularly this football season. BetOnline, use that code Locked On for your refund. Everything that they offer, our friends over at betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. I want to talk about the young guys on the other side, because this Cardinals team in front office kind of made me angry in the draft cycle. Two guys that I thought were going to fall enough that could end up on the Chiefs roster. You want to start offense or defense, or do you care?
I'll let you go with who made you mad.
Who made me mad is Rondale Moore, because he's got that Tyreek aspect to him. Like, it could have been a double down on that style of play. Obviously, a lot of injury history, but they picked him up for a song. It wasn't a high draft pick. It's something that could have been done, and you can get it
around again. I apologize.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I was so.
Was it day 3? It was day 3 though, right?
I think so. No, I think it was round 3 is what it was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I had the fury in the eye, so I wasn't. I could not tell you exactly. But you're going to see a glimpse of the Kingsbury offense with Kyler Murray, and then the similarities are going to be very telling to me. So watch out for that particular guy on their field.
Yeah, and that could be something that you definitely need to watch, because the Chiefs' corners are going to be tested. With that kind of speed, you're going to have issues, and I think it's a good test for them. I'm really curious to see what Baker and what Hughes do this game. We already know what Ward is. We already know what Snead is for the most part. Don't get me wrong, Snead's still growing, but Ward is who he's going to be at this point. That's not really going to change, I don't think. So now you're trying to figure out, okay, who's Baker going to be this year? Who's Hughes going to be this year? Which one of them is going to be a starter if either of them are going to start? And who's the 5th? Because we still don't know that. I mean, I would still think it's Rashad Fenton, but he seems to be on the outside looking in some regards.
I don't feel that way, but that's only because I have a gut about it, not because of anything we've seen.
I'm not talking necessarily about the roster. Let me be clear. Okay. I'm talking about on the outside looking in, because I thought he would have a chance of being a starter, or at least in the top 3, and that doesn't look like that's going to happen. So
I still think it is.
Really?
I do. I think at the end of the day, this is great. You got to give Hughes as much run as possible. I think at the end, especially against more powerful guys that can win one-on-one contests physically, impress. I think Fenton's got to have the edge, and maybe it doesn't come down to it week 1. Maybe that happens eventually, but I do think he ends up being one of the top 3. Okay.
Well, it just doesn't look like that's the way that they're going right now. So we'll have to watch and see what happens there. And then you look at, what does Bolton do? How does he step forward this game? I think that's something to watch. I think that it's going to be fun to see how he reacts to being on the field with Willie Gay at the same time, because I'm sure they're going to play some snaps together, and how those two handle things. And then, honestly, I know you want to talk about young guys, and this guy isn't that young, but Juan Thornhill, how does he react to this week that he's had and last week's game?
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark on the Chiefs roster right now, is what is going on with Juan.
Yep.
I hope that we have more information for you, or something that we can discern from what happens here. Let's see.
And I will say, I don't think he's a bust. I had somebody ask me if he's a bust, or say that he's busted. I'm like, I don't think he's a bust at this point. Injuries happen, and he's dealing with it. So you have to give him a little bit of time to recover, though it is concerning that he seems to be taking a step back.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm a little more concerned than I was the other day. On Tuesday, I went on with Carrington Harrison on 610, and I was still in the mode I think this is trying to get him game snaps rather than practice snaps, so you don't overload the knee. But then as it wears on, I'm getting a little bit more concerned. I got to see what they do here. I don't know what they're going to do at the safety spot, or if they're going to let him play with the ones maybe longer, or what it is. It's an ongoing situation that I don't think we'll know until somebody comes out and tells us, meaning Andy Reid.
Yeah, but if he's still in the game in the fourth quarter of this game, there's concern to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's what I was talking about. Maybe the Zane Anderson thing is shot across Juan's bow that, hey, you got to step this up. It's not as much about potential now. Let's see it. And maybe that's what it is. You never know. It's a long training camp. Sometimes guys need a little bit of push towards the end of it, and that happens too. On the other side, oh, sorry.
No, I actually headed there myself.
Okay.
I was going to say your boy Fountain is going to be somebody to watch this week. Fountain is going to be a guy to watch. Kemp's going to be a guy to watch. Obviously, Jody Fortson's a guy to watch. And like I've said, every preseason game, before every preseason game for the past 5 years, you got to watch special teams.
Yep.
Who's the first string special teamers that are coming out there? Who's making plays on special teams? And who's screwing up?
Yeah, because that makes the difference.
Right. Fortson didn't screw up.
Right.
So I think that's a good sign for him. Sorry, what did you say?
One more defensive guy to watch. Amari Cobb flashed a few times in the first game. He was out for a practice, came back. So keep an eye on him. But the interesting thing about Fountain and Shepard as well, and anybody else, I mean, even Byron Pringle might be smarting from Legarius beating him in that foot race the other day. And they're all going to see a little bit of Marco Wilson, who is a guy that has some temper issues in college, but is really athletic, and I felt was a pretty good fit for what the Chiefs like to do with their corners. They're going to see him a lot, and I'm going to be watching his matchups with the Chiefs receivers quite a bit.
Did you ever figure out who that guy was cheering in the background?
No.
Okay.
I got
just wondering. Yeah. Just wondering because I know you're curious. So if you didn't see it, you need to go look at Ryan's timeline on Twitter because he has a picture, and I'm curious as well as to who it was because the guy was pretty excited. But and it was the race between Snead and Pringle. I really think that you start looking at this game and the other position that you have to wonder about. Obviously, we've talked about tight end. We've talked about the different offensive linemen. Is Remmers going to play in this game? I mean, to me, it's really important that he plays, and it's going to be interesting to see how much he plays.
What if he doesn't?
Is he going to be able to come back? I mean, I don't want to say this is last year's Schwartz, but if he doesn't play, I mean, you have to wonder if they think that he's going to be available this year.
Who gets his reps? Just how are we going to gauge that?
Well, I would think that it's going to be Andrew Wiley. If it's a left tackle, it's going to be Prince.
Yeah.
And I butcher that kid's name, so I'm not even going to try.
Take on
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I'll just call him Prince. But I do think that it's very important that he plays at least some, and he gets a feel for the game, and at least is in there, especially because he doesn't have the chemistry with the guys he's going to be playing next to. This Chiefs offensive line is just completely different than it was last year. Yeah. Remmers has no chemistry with any of these guys.
It's going to be a challenge, I think, but I think he'll get there. I think they're going to do well to play with some tempo too. I don't think they're going to get crazy in terms of play design, but let's up the tempo. I'm looking forward to that, folks. We'd like to know what you're looking forward to. Leave it in the comments on YouTube or in the iTunes reviews. Make sure if you're subbed on Spotify or whatever, you might get a better response than maybe from Apple these days. And if you would like to check us out on video, like and subscribe over there on YouTube. We hope that you guys are ready for this contest. We'll have something for you following it. And Chris has something right now.
I was just going to say that let us know who you are going to be watching specifically. And also let us know who you think had the best game or the worst game once the game's over. I'd love to hear that because it's always a lot of fun to interact with the fans and it's always a good time. So please let us know what you think.
Hope you guys are ready. Enjoy your Friday night and enjoy this game. We'll be back with you afterwards. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll catch you.